My dear viewers, beginning today is the official Alliteration Gaming Patreon and channel members. Throughout my Patreon, we've got quite a few tiers you can check out in order to gain special perks and even commission videos that you'd like to see me upload onto the channel. Every tier includes a shout out on my supporter card at the beginning of all of my videos, along with the benefits of the tier itself. Following that, you can now also join the Alliteration Nation by becoming a channel member on the YouTube side of things. Pledging your subscription here as a member of the channel is going to grant you the same shout out on my supporter card as all the Patreon tiers do, as well as access to the members only channel on my Discord. You'll gain a member badge that will level up as you stay subscribed and access to my exclusive emotes when I stream on YouTube. If you're interested in checking out the Patreon, I'm going to have the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below, as well as the link to my Discord should you want to join that as well. And if you want to become a channel member, the big beautiful join button is front and center on my homepage right here. And if you do decide to support the channel in any way whatsoever, know that I am unimaginably grateful, and I can't wait to provide you with even more top-notch content at my trademark top speed. Additionally, it's time for the return of the referral code. If you're new here and you're just getting into the game, you've got to make an account on the Universe's gaming network. When you're signing up, you can use my exclusive referral code Alliteration to let Jasco know that I brought you on board, which directly supports me and my work. Having an account on the UGN site is going to allow you to sign up for tournaments, participate in events, locate stores that support the game near you, and much more. Playing in events and or mailing in pack wrappers is actually going to accrue loyalty points onto your account, which you'll then be able to redeem for exclusive promo cards in the mail for absolutely free. An account on here is an integral part of playing this game, so make sure you sign up and you use my code Alliteration to help me continue doing what I love. I would really appreciate the support. You guys absolutely killed it on the last one with all of the signups, and I am really excited to run it back with you all. Now, let's get on to the video. Good evening, my dearest of viewers out there. Welcome to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name's Levi, and today it's Wednesday, so it's time for some wealthy aspirations. If you're new here, this is our weekly Market Watch series where we go over TCG Player and just check out a little bit of a deep dive on a handful of cards that I've picked out to personally talk about that I think are really important to know. So if you want to become a savvy spender like the rest of the Alliteration Nation, be sure to hit the subscribe button to check out this series every week alongside all of my other content. With that being said, let's get right into it. The first thing that I have to talk to you guys today about is Ojiro 2's XR. This guy historically has been pretty much $4 for frickin' ages now, and there's only one of this bad boy left, and it's for a super duper crazy price. So unsurprisingly, this guy's been selling a lot. I think everyone's really caught on to the fact that this guy is kind of the best deck in the format right now. Definitely one of the best, if not the best deck to play right now. He is absolutely insane. One of the most pivotal pieces of the meta. If you're trying to go into an event not playing Ojiro or not having a plan for Ojiro, you're gonna have a pretty bad time. The character has been becoming more and more prevalent for a pretty long time now, and as long as Jasco refuses to do something about this guy, we're going to see him continue to see a lot of play, and we're going to see him continue to get his cards bought quite a lot to make those decks, because I think a lot of people, it's kind of like the Tokoyami effect was for like Dallas Nationals and online Nationals, where people are like, this deck is so good and I really want these invites, that a lot of people are shifting over to this guy. Almost everyone's locals that I have talked to says, yeah, we're pretty much just all playing Ojiro 2 for the store championship, because like it's just the freest qualifier ticket in the world. Anyway, before this becomes a full-on rant video, this is one that I think a lot of us could have saw coming from a mile away, because this guy is just easily the hottest topic in the MHA CCG right now. Moving forward to the other hottest topic, quite literally, Twisting Azure Infernos are almost gone. There are only a few of these bad boys left, and they're for a lot more than like the $12 that they've been for quite a while. If you look at like the last couple weeks, it's been selling around that $12-14 range. Just yesterday, 4 sold for 30, which is kind of crazy. People are, I guess, it probably like got bought out like completely, and that was the only one. People might have just thought, hey, this is the only chance I got now, right? And so we just saw, we're just seeing Twisting Azure become really crazy. If you're not playing Ojiro, probably should be playing Tokoyami, or even Dabi 2 is also like an insanely strong glass cannon deck. Twisting Azure is just such a staple part of that deck no matter what. Regardless of how you're playing it, this is a really relevant card in the format right now. We have all of these like competitive events coming up, right? We've got these PSCs starting up. The RLEs are going to be right around the corner. People are actually purchasing the cards again to make the best decks in the game. And if you want to come in, hop on and snag one of those invites, this is kind of the way to do it. Ojiro or a Twisting Azure Inferno deck. Those are kind of the two biggest leeways. Jiro as well. I would also put Jiro pretty up there, but we haven't really seen any crazy price action on her cards. I also got the XR pulled up because the XR like has always kind of averaged around 20, but there's like only one left at that price point. So if the regular stays around this $18 range, I think we're going to see this one also continue to go up. But right now they're both basically non-existent, so it's just a matter of what they're going to restock at. I don't think it's going to be much less, if at all. I think people are really going to try to juice this one as much as they can because they know how powerful this card is right now. Next, we're going to take a look at one that hasn't been super duper bought out yet, but I do want you to keep an eye on because of its meta relevance, and that's going to be Rapid Punches. Rapid Punches, its partner as well, the Hardened Barrage, are both very largely enjoyed by Ojiro, but Rapid Punches is a lot more enjoyed by Ojiro. And the big thing is, no matter if you're playing the Earth or the All build, both of them play this card in spades. Right now, it's at like a very respectable, $5 range, and honestly, the fact that this is on redemption means that it's not really super duper possible for it to get that expensive. But if you're someone who wants those foil ones, it's at least something to keep an eye on. In a very similar vein, let's look at Texas Smash, guys. Texas Smash is another card that very widely enjoyed by Ojiro. Whether you're playing the best Earth build, right, or even if you're playing the All build, Texas Smash is a really pivotal part of both of those. It's kind of always sat around this $5, $6, $7 range, but even for a set 1 ultra rare, that could go, right? We've got like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them left in like the $8 range. Then they start getting a little bit crazier down here in the $13 range. So there is potential for it to get a little more wild. If you want Texas for cheap, now is honestly a pretty good time to pick them up. I don't think they'll go too crazy because there's also the XR and the RLE one, which both hover around 15 to 18, so maybe not too much room to go wild. But again, Ojiro being an insanely relevant deck right now, possibly the most relevant deck right now, it's just a card to keep an eye on. If you're one of those people who are like, I really want to switch to Ojiro for like a PSC or something, I want to be able to put the deck together for super cheap, pick up some of these cards while you have a really good opportunity to. Next up, a card that has had some really interesting things going on lately with it is the XR Compression Sphere. So this card has been like $1 or $2 pretty much ever since the set came out, and then it got like randomly bought out, I think like a week after last, and then kind of resettled at like a reasonable price, and then now is kind of hovering around the $8 range, 8, 9, 10. You see a couple of them have sold for that. It's pretty funny. This card, honestly guys, I don't really know why this card is acting up so strangely. I don't think it's very good. Even though Mr. Compress is finally out, I don't even know if I would play this card in him. I currently play Compress and I don't. Maybe his other symbols do. I don't know. I don't think it's like extremely relevant. It's very good momentum hate if you're trying to sideboard for that. I know a lot of people are really high on this momentum is canceled thing. I'm personally not super seeing it, but if you are wanting to hate on momentum right now, if you are wanting to prevent things like Echo and your decaying palm slams and your specialized sound waves and whatnot, very relevant cards to be worried about. This is one of the better sideboard pieces of momentum 8 because you don't have to like actively play it and disrupt your game plan. But at the same time, I don't know where these crazy daisy prices are coming from, and I don't think it's anything to really respect, if you will. I think if you really want this card, the base rarity is still like pennies, and if you really want the high rarity, you'll be able to get it much cheaper than this. I don't think these prices are anything here to stay. Now, a buyout you do really have to respect right here is finally, guys, Struggling with Studies is gone. Guys, the universe has answered the calls. It's finally happened. A set 2 XR has sold out. Holy cow. If you are not new to Wealthy Aspirations, if you've been watching this series for a while now, I used to preach about this card almost every single week. Guys, it's $3, $4, $5, $6. It's got, Chaos and Water, 2 of the best symbols ever. Death, also a very good symbol now in set 4. It's so staple. This card's so busted. It goes from not shiny to shiny, so it's like auto cracked, and it's only $5. None of that makes any sense, guys. Y'all have got to be buying this one up. I think a lot of people just think it's a set 2 XR. There's 40 million of them on the market because set 2 is so oversaturated. It'll never sell out. I can buy them whenever. That's not true. It's finally happened. They're finally gone. I think that, for what it's worth, I think they'll restock probably around like the $7, $8 range. We've seen this one get like pseudo bought out a little bit before, and it's never come back with like a hard vengeance. But I mean, you can only get bought out so many times, right? So keep an eye on this one. If it comes back at like anything below $10, I think it's an instant snap up. Next up, let's enter the Almighty promo range, and I truly do mean Almighty promos because All Might 7 is now legal. So when we look at his alternate forms here, like All Might from Gen Con and Ball Might from Anime Expo, these cards are crazy prices now. These cards are crazy prices now. The second that this guy got announced as one of the provisional promos in his base form, now finally being playable in the game, people have either been hanging on to these for ages, waiting to play them, or they saw the announcement and said, oh my god, I can finally go buy those because I can now play them. If you look, there's been a bunch of them sold recently. A bunch of them sold recently for like some actually very crazy prices as well. It's crazy, man. I was running the booth at Gen Con. I was hosting the booth, and literally all you had to do was do a survey with me. You do like a 5-minute survey, and I just gave you one of these. I gave out literally hundreds of these for absolutely free. The fact that this is now like a extremely real price card is kind of insane. It's actually kind of wild, man. Ball Might, a little more understandable because you have to be at freaking Anime Expo, and you know, you had to like buy the mat or something. I don't know, you had to buy something. Either way, there were definitely a lot less of them given out across Anime Expo. But either way, they're both very non-existent right now. If you've been waiting on All Might 7 to finally be legal and you really want these, you probably have them by now. So I don't think anyone is getting burned too hard by this. And if not, the provisional one is going to be very easy to get. Everyone's getting one just for playing in their store championship. And he also looks very good. And with this next one, I'm going to have to hardcore pat myself on the back, guys, because last week we talked about freaking Meteor Shower, and look where it is now, boys. Meteor Shower was like a measly $3 like it always has been for a freaking eternity when we talked about it last week. But I said, hey guys, people are really hot on these Chaos All for One decks, these Chaos Dobby decks, in general, a lot of Meteor Shower decks, air compressed decks, a lot of Meteor Shower decks have been getting played lately, and I think this one might be one to keep an eye on. And it has been hard bought up, hard snapped up, hard snapped up, guys. The cheapest ones now are about $10. There's only a couple of those before it starts entering the $15 range, and then the crazy buyout range. If you watched the show last week and you went and snapped up yourself some cheap Meteor Showers, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back too for securing that sweet deal and being a savvy wealthy Aspirations viewer, because this one is one that's just been begging. I think Meteor Shower is like one of the most stable ultra rares in set 1 that I think it's going to be really hard to get rid of for quite a long time now. I think a lot of people thought this card would suddenly get really cheap when Echo came out, because Meteor Shower is like a worse Echo. Then you realize Meteor Shower is repeatable 4 highs for 5 on the 4 diff, whereas most of the Echoes, especially the Echo on the Chaos symbol, is a lot worse statted. I've also got the XR, which is around the $15 range right now, and the Gen Con version as well, which has gotten super expensive lately, just as far as like, you know, just for a reference of like the alternate Meteor Showers before you start buying the base ones for a really expensive price. Like, I know that if you look, March 16th is like the day they actually got all bought out. They got like bought out like right after Wealthy Aspirations, basically. March 16th is where like a ton of them sold. See, from here all the way up to here, they got bought out all the way into, you know, $7-10, and then people actually started snapping up the XR a little bit too. You see, there was 1 sold and then 2 sold on March 16th, because when it's first started getting bought out, the cheapest one was like $14, so people just started going buy the XRs instead, and a couple of those got snapped up before some cheaper ones got posted, but it's still not super cheap. So again, if you had your eye on this one and you went go snap them up, very good work, my friends. Our next order of business is another one that I talked about recently that I hope you picked up on, because it can't be fixed is no longer with us. This price point seriously cannot be fixed. This one has followed all of the rules for just a buyout being around the corner anytime now. It's a very staple 0 difficulty foundation from set 1 that's very strong and goes from non-foil to foil. There's been like a few of them hovering around for like the $12 range for pretty much the whole month of March. You can kind of see that they've been around that, and I've been telling guys, you got to snap those up, because once those are gone, it's just not going to be that price anymore. It's going to be very hard for it to be that price anymore, and so these are finally gone. So again, another one of those that, hey, if you picked up on it, the proof is in the pudding right here, that reveling in the info of this series with me can provide you some pretty sick deals. Going into some promos for set 1, guys, let's talk about Plus Ultra. I have both the normal one and the Victory one here, looking at about $6 on these and about $12 on these. Now, these have been doing some really weird things. If you've been following across the months, I want to say about like a month or 2 ago, somewhere within that range, both of them suddenly became like $2, $3, $4 out of nowhere. It was very bizarre. Both versions of the card just instantly became like $2.
They were selling like crazy at $2 and they were staying $2, and I truly did not know what was going on. It was very, very confusing to me. And then out of nowhere, a couple of weeks ago, the normal ones started shooting back up to like a rarely respectable like $8 to $10 range, and the victory ones became like the $12 to $15 range again, just out of nowhere. I had no idea why these fluctuations were happening. It was very strange why they would suddenly become so cheap and then so normal again. Until someone pointed out to me the other day in my Discord. I didn't realize this, but if you go to the redemption shop on the MHA website, Plus Ultra is out of stock for redemption. You can see right here, out of stock. I did not know that a card on here could go out of stock. I just thought that they had like so many millions of these that this would never even happen. But it's happened. Plus Ultra is very out of stock. It might not be the only out of stock promo, and it's definitely something to consider now when looking at other buyouts. But I'm wondering now if maybe that was the reason things fluctuated. Maybe it was out of stock for a while, and that's why they were like a real price, and then they went back in stock, and that's why they tanked all the way down to $2, and then now they're back out of stock, so the actual ones are going up. It's hard to say. That's just kind of like supplementary info that's kind of relevant right now based on if you want to redeem those or not. It's not an option right now, and it could be why they were seeing such crazy jumps and crashes in the very recent past. Regardless of whether or not that's true, just a little thing to think on. At the very least, it is something to consider now when you're looking at a lot of these promos. I think that the set 1 promos are probably the most ones to consider here, because those are probably the ones that have been getting, you know, picked up for the longest, and they probably have the least quantities of, especially things like Plus Ultra. I don't think that anything else in the set 1 pack is like super duper relevant enough to probably find an out of stock option. Plus Ultra is probably the only one that can really get there, but it does give food for thought when considering that the prices for promos might not necessarily always be so immortal, right? As long as they have redemption up, because apparently redemption can go out of stock. Lastly, we got a couple set 4 cards to talk about. Himiko Toga 2's character XR has been bought out. This is not a real price, guys. Absolutely do not follow this, but as you can see, they've been selling like hotcakes for $20 for a long time right now. Guys, come on, it's Toga. It's Toga. It's Toga. The crazy fans are coming out in droves. Everyone's going to pay $20 for an XR Toga. If you're a dinosaur like me back in the olden days when set 1 first came out, on release day and for the first couple weeks after, Momo's XR just stayed like $50 for the longest time, because that's just the waifu tax, man. That's the waifu tax that you got to pay when you're playing an anime card game sometimes. So if you thought that you could get an XR Toga 2 for less than $20, you were waiting for it to go down, that was probably a pretty foolhardy wish. I hope that if you still were looking for one, you got one. This is not going to stay very real for very long. Looks like the last $20 one, essentially $18, right, got bought out on the 18th, so you know, a handful of days ago. So there hasn't been a whole lot of time for new ones to come into the market, and I guarantee new ones will come on for less than this ridiculous unreal price right here. But for the time being, if you are in the I want a XR Toga 2 waiting camp, you're gonna have to wait a little longer for the prices to regulate on these guys. Speaking of prices regulating, Vial Season, man, we have to talk about this freaking card again, because it was holding its really nice respectable 16, 17, 18 bucks for a hot minute there, and now it's been pretty much bought out all the way around the $25 range. Honestly, I think since this is like the excited for blood, quote unquote, of the set, I think $20 for this card is still super reasonable, and I would not be surprised to see it settle at that. I think when we were all buying them for 14s, like a week or so into release, that was probably a way too good of a price for that card. 17s, that range was a little more respectable, but I think that this card will probably settle around 20 or so after more of them come in stock and this whole little fiasco is over. But for now, they are very hard to acquire. So if you're still looking for Vial Seasons, I think you got to go back into the waiting room, my friend, because it's going to be a little bit before they get cheaper, and I don't know if they're going to hit that 14 or that 16 range again. And that's going to be it for this week's Wealthy Aspirations, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I truly appreciate it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, I would love some feedback down below via a like or a comment on the comment section. And if you want to see this series every week, as well as all of my other MHA CCG content, you can hit the subscribe button to get all of my stuff shoved into your news feed every day. And if you want to support the channel, you can hit the join button, become a channel member, and if you want to have some impact on the type of videos I make and commission some stuff directly from me, you can check out my Patreon, which is going to have a bunch of different ways that you can do that and submit yourself as a part of the channel forever. I'll have everything linked down below in the pinned comments and the description. Above all else though, thanks just for making it to the end of this video, and I hope I can see you in the next one.